You thought at any point that the NBA was going to overtake the NFL in the United States of America, you might just need to start traveling around some. You might just need to get out of your apartment. I think we underrate the power of story right now. And we're in this silly era where these companies think that Twitter is everything and everything has to be tailored to Twitter. And the NBA, I think, is the worst offender of that among sports leagues. If you want to look at why the NFL did so much better than the NBA over the last 5 years. You know, people say, oh, the NBA went woke. I mean, so did the NFL. The NFL does tons of corporate signaling, right? They have, even more so than the NBA. They've done the pink gloves during breast cancer month and whatever, you know, for the longest time. But they benefited from the NBA thinking that Twitter was their path to power. It is not an accident that NBA Twitter became such a big thing. They met with Twitter. Adam Silver and former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey would do an annual conference, and they would talk about the merging of their brands. They thought that this would be what would make them popular, and it was the sports bar that was virtual. And it was great. It was a great idea. I don't even think that I thought anything different back in 2015 when they were doing this happy talk in 2016, where you could read all these crazy articles about how the NBA is going to overtake the NFL. People really believe that. You know, you can read prestigious publications where people are saying that. If you want an example of the media, by the way, being completely out of touch, I would put that one up at the top. You know, if you think that the NBA, or if you thought at any point that the NBA was going to overtake the NFL in the United States of America, you might just need to start traveling around some. You might just need to get out of your apartment. But people thought this. But the problem is that Twitter is poison. That's the issue. And they wanted everybody to ingest it. I was at training camp, I remember, and they would have every player go up to the social media station, authenticate them on Instagram, on Twitter, on everything. They encourage the players to communicate this way with the public. Well, what does that do? These are narcissism contraptions. So it makes the athletes more narcissistic. You're not even managing your brand. You're just leaving it to anybody to talk about, you know, in the virtual sports bar or whatever. So it's just a cacophony of annoying people. You know, the main function of Twitter, in my opinion, is just to allow sociopaths to boost their reputation at the expense of others. And so in the end, the NBA conversation, it detours from the games. It becomes less appealing. The athletes become more inward focused. And all of a sudden, you've got Adam Silver at the Sloan Conference a few years ago going, candidly, I might add, and credit to him for being candid, but he's saying, oh, my God, all our stars are unhappy. I don't know what to do about it. They're all unhappy. I think that's part of the story of how that happened. It was a technological mistake that ran the NBA aground. You know, this is something that conservatives, and many of them obviously, you know, watch your program, something they might not want to admit. But what Colin Kaepernick did was indeed brave. You know, you can criticize the motivations, you can criticize the content, but it was a risk. And yes, he got a ton of money from Nike in the end. And it's easy to say, oh, man, you know, some risk he took. Look at all the money he got. It wasn't obvious at the time he did that with his protests. The NFL is very much a nail that sticks out, hammer down type of league. You know, if you're stepping out of line, the NFL doesn't like that. So at a certain level, people respected the risk that Kaepernick took. And from what I hear, LeBron observed that and thought, well, I can do that and I can get that kind of credit. But the problem is that LeBron's not taking any risk, and everybody understands that LeBron's not taking any risk. His aim, his pursuit is to become a billionaire. That's a pretty cool goal to have. I mean, I would like to have that goal. That sounds pretty nice. But everybody gets that if that's the goal, then what are you really giving up to pursue it? And just saying similar slogans to a Colin Kaepernick is not the same thing as actually risking your job. I mean, everybody understands it, even if nobody's saying it. So it doesn't resonate. It's not really the personality aspect of him that people liked, which is that he was fun and he was funny and he's got a charisma to him. And then it gets the apotheosis of it is him making this tearjerker of an ad, and the reveal at the end is Ruffles potato chips. I mean, it's a parody. It's a satire. It's what happens when nobody around you is telling you that something looks silly.